This video is for Lesson 8-3, Day 2. One of the skills is to determine the slope of a line given two ordered pairs. The method for doing this is to use the slope formula. Here's number 2. We're given two ordered pairs that we're told are on a line, and we're asked for the slope of that line. The slope is a number that describes the inclination of the line when it travels through these 2 points. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. To use that formula, you have to know that the first ordered pair contains x1 and y1, and the second ordered pair contains x2 and y2. And now that you know which number is which variable, you can substitute. 5 subtract 2 divided by -6 subtract -4. This makes 3 over -2. This is the fraction -3/2. This line goes downhill, and from one point on the line to another, you go down 3 squares and run 2 squares. Number 4. This is x1 and y1. And this is x2 and y2. Use the formula. 3 subtract 7 divided by 2 subtract 0. This is -4 over 2, which reduces to -2. This is a downhill line. From one dot to another, you go down 2 squares and run 1 square. Number 6. This is the x-coordinate of the first point. This is the y-coordinate of the first point. This is the x-coordinate of the second point, and this is the y-coordinate of the second point. Find the difference of the y values. 9 subtract 3. Find the difference of the x values. 4 subtract -4. This is 6 over 8. Top and bottom both divide by 2, so it reduces to 3 over 4. This is an uphill line. From one dot to another, you rise 3 squares and run 4 squares. Number 8. This is x1 and y1. This is x2 and y2. 0 take away 3 divided by 2 take away 6. This is -3 over -4, which reduces to 3/4. Now in yesterday's video, I used that formula a lot, but I also did a couple problems without using the formula, just by looking at how the values compare. This y value compared to this y value indicates an increase of 3 units. -7 plus 3 changes to -4. This x value compared to this x value indicates an increase of 2 units. -8 plus 2 changes to -6. The change in y values is +3. The change in x values is +2. That's the same answer you get if you use the formula. This is x1 and y1. This is x2 and y2. And now let's do our subtractions. -4 subtract the -7. -6 subtract the -8. This makes 3 over 2. Number 12. How have the y values changed if it starts at 7 and ends up at -7? The y value decreases by 14. How do the x values change if you start at -5, if you start at -2 and end up at -5? That has decreased by 3. The change in y is -14. The change in x is -3. This reduces to 14 over 3. You can try it with the formula to confirm that that's the right answer. Now the second skill today is to find the slope of a line when you're given its equation instead of given two ordered pairs. And the method is determine the two ordered pairs yourself, and then you can use the slope formula. Here we have a linear equation. It's already been solved for y, so we're ready to make an xy table. Find two solutions. Make smart choices for x. One number that will be easy to use is 0, because to get y, we go 2 times 0 plus 1, and that makes 1. That's the ordered pair 0, 1. Now another number that would be easy to use for x is 1. To get y, 2 times 1 plus 1, and that makes 3. So this is the ordered pair 1, 3. Now we have the same kind of math problem that we were just doing. This is the x1 and this is the y1, the x and y coordinates of the first point. This is the x2 and this is the y2, the x and y coordinates of the second point. The formula for slope is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 3 minus 1 and 1 minus 0. This makes 2 over 1, which reduces to 2. If we graph this line, we would find out that it goes uphill, and from one dot to another, you rise 2 squares and run 1 square. Number 15. Here's a linear equation. It's already been solved for y. So we're ready to make the xy table. Now an easy number to use for x is 0, because then our formula is 8 minus 2 times 0, and that makes 8. Another easy number to use for x is 1, and we have 8 minus 2 times 1, and that makes 6. How are the y values changing from 8 to 6? It's decreasing by 2. How has the x value changed from 0 to 1? It's increased by 1. The change in y is -2, and the change in x is +1, and that makes -2. Is that the same answer we would get if we explicitly used the formula? Let's find out. Our first ordered pair that we figured out was 0, 8. And our second ordered pair that we figured out was 1, 6. This is the x1 and this is the y1. This is the x2 and this is the y2. 6 minus the 8 divided by 1 minus the 0. This is -2 over 1, which is -2. So notice that once I fill in the xy table, I can get my slope by looking from one row to the next row. It's not necessary to rewrite the numbers in parentheses and then apply the formula. Number 17. Here we have a linear equation, but it hasn't been solved for y. So first step, subtract the x term to make it move to the other side. This makes 2y is equal to 6 subtract 3x. Now divide by 2. Y is equal to 3 minus 3 halves x. Now we're ready to make the xy table. An easy number to use for x is 0, because we would have 3 minus 3 halves times 0. 3 halves times 0 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Now, we could use 1 for x, but when we multiply by 3 halves, we're going to get a fraction. It would be better to use an even number for x. For example, 2. We have 3 minus 3 halves times 2. The 2's cross out, leaving the 3. 3 minus 3 makes 0. Now, how are the y values changing from the first point to the second point? From 3 to 0, the y values have decreased by 3 units, while the x has increased by 2 units. The change in y values is negative 3, and the change in x values is positive 2. The slope is negative 3 over 2. Number 19, the equation has not yet been solved for y. So first step, add the 5y to get it to move to the right side. And while you're doing that, make the 10 move to the left side by subtracting 10. That's going to make 5y equals 3x minus 10. Now divide by 5. Y equals 3/5 x minus 2. Now we can make an xy table. What's an easy number to use for x? 0. When you use 0, you'll get negative 2 for y. Now notice that in front of x is a fraction with 5 in the denominator. So choosing multiples of 5 for x would be smart choices, like choose 5 for x, or 10, or 15. You could even use negative numbers like negative 5. I'm going to pick 5. 3/5 times 5 minus 2. The 5's cross out, leaving 3, and 3 minus 2 makes 1. Now, how are the y values changing from the first point to the second point? It's increased by 3 units, while the x has increased by 5 units. The change in y is positive 3, and the change in x is positive 5. Number 21, this equation only has the letter y. This is a horizontal line, so the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Number 23, this is a special case. It only has the letter x. It's a vertical line, so the slope of a vertical line is undefined. The next skill is to graph a line when we're given a point on the line and the slope of the line. The method is to plot the given point first. That gets you a dot on the grid. Then apply the slope to get the second dot. For this part of the assignment, use the separate piece of graph paper that I'll hand to you, because that way you don't have to draw your own grids and risk them being sloppy and not accurate. Number 25, point A contains 3, 2 and has a slope of 4. We know that 3, 2 is on point A, so let's plot that point. Start at the origin, go to 3 on the x-axis, and then go to 2, and then go up 2. 1, 2. Here in quadrant 1 is point A. Now the other thing we know about the line is it has a slope of 4. From yesterday's video, we know that slope is a description of its inclination. How is it inclined? How is it slanted? That inclination is described by comparing the amount of rise to the amount of run. How much vertical change is there compared to how much horizontal change is there? This is a rate. There's a top and a bottom. So when you have a whole number like 4, you need to think of this as being 4 over 1, because now you have a denominator number. From the dot that we already found, rise 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now run 1 square to the right. Boom. Here is another dot on the line. Take a straight edge and draw through the two dots. Now, to be extra accurate in my video, if I can count up 4 units and write 1 unit to get a dot, that means that I could count down 4 and left 1 to get another dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. Here's another dot, which is collinear to the first 2. I even have room to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. This dot is collinear. Now, on paper with a ruler, you don't really need to do that if you're careful, but since I'm doing this on my computer, getting those extra dots will help me draw the line. Number 27, draw a line that goes through the point 2, -7 and has a slope of 0. We know that 2, -7 is on the line, so let's find that spot. Go to 2 on the x-axis, and then go down 7 squares. That's actually going to be off the bottom of my grid. I need to extend 1 more square to be the -7, and then I can put a dot at 2, -7. Now, what kind of line has a slope of 0? That's a special case. That's a horizontal line. So take your ruler, lay it perfectly horizontal on your paper, and draw straight across going through that dot. Number 29. As I look at this question, I notice a typo. Maybe you picked up on it earlier. This should say, a line contains point K, which has the ordered pair -5, 1. When I go back to the previous questions, I see that I had that same mistake on number 27 and probably number 25. Number 27 should say, a line contains point R, which has the ordered pair 2, -7. Back on number 25, same problem, right? A line contains point A, which has that ordered pair and has slope 4. Okay, so with that fixed, let's get back to number 29. We're supposed to draw a line. We know that the line contains point K, and the line has a slope of -1/2. So where is -5, 1? On the x-axis, go to -5, and then go up 1 square and put the dot. Now, what does it mean to have a slope of -1/2 if slope is rise compared to run? The fact that the slope is negative tells us it's going downhill. So even though we use the word rise, for this particular problem, we're actually thinking of the rise as being a negative change, -1, and the run is 2 units to the right. This means we're going to go down 1 square and right 2 squares. There's only one negative sign. So if we're using the negative sign to mean go down, we can't also use the negative sign to mean go left, right? So -1/2 is -1 over +2. Down 1, over to the right 2. Okay, go to that blue dot. Put your pencil right on the dot. Count down 1 square, and then right 2 squares. 1, 2. We end up right on the x-axis where the -3 is. Now lay your ruler on your paper. Be really careful to be accurate. To be even more accurate, we can repeat our slope pattern. Down 1, right 2. Boom, here's another dot. Down 1, right 2. Here's another dot. Down 1, right 2. 1, 2. Here's another dot. Here's another dot. The more dots you put to make sure that they're collinear, the straighter your line will be. The next skill, determine if 3 points that are given to you are collinear? Do the 3 points line up on the same diagonal line? Points that are collinear have the same slope. So let's find the slope between point 1 and point 2. From 4 to 0, it's decreased by 4 units. From 1 to 3, it's increased by 2 units. This reduces to -2. Now, what is the slope when you compare point 2 and point 3? From 0 to -4, it's decreased by 4. From 3 to 5, it's increased by 2. And this reduces to -2. These are the same slope, so yes, all 3 dots exist on the same diagonal line. Now number 33 is the same skill. We could find the answer by comparing slopes, but the other way you can do it is if you have access to grid paper, you can graph the 3 dots, put your straight edge on the paper to see if the 3 dots do line up perfectly along the edge of your ruler. So where is 8, 1? On the x-axis, you go to 8 and then go up 1 and put a dot. Where is 6, 5? On the x-axis, go to 6 and then go up to the 5, which you can read off of the y-axis. Where's 4, 8? Go to 4 on the x-axis, go up to +8. Do those 3 dots line up in a perfectly straight line? If you do this on grid paper with an actual ruler, you can lay it on the paper to tell. If you're just looking at the computer screen, then pay attention to how it's changing from one dot to the next. From this dot to this dot, down 3, right 2, a slope of -3/2. From this dot to this dot is down 4/2, a slope of -2. They're not the same slope. The dots don't line up on the same diagonal line.